So hello everyone and welcome to today's webinar where we will talk about Assistant by AEC and how it could help you with the automation in your BIM workflows. My name is Jessica Granat and I'm responsible for the marketing activities here at AEC. And we also have Patrik with us, and he will take us through the presentation in just a minute. But first, I would like to take some practical stuff, and we are recording this webinar, and you will get the link afterwards. And so you can share it with your colleagues if they had the possibility to join us today. So feel free to share it. And if you have any questions during the presentations, please feel free to ask them in the Q&A box and we will answer them after the presentation. And so with that said, I will hand over to Patrik. So go ahead.
Thank you very much, Jessica. Just let me just share my screen. Hope you can see this okay. My name is Patrik Lundqvist, and I greet you very welcome to this webinar, which today is going to be about one of our products called Assistant by AEC. So there's a few people with us in this meeting. We have Jessica just presented herself, and we have Christian, who's our product manager, and also Andreas, Marius, and Frederick, who belongs to our development team, helping develop these and other products. Just to make sure, it may be April Fool's Day today, but we assure you that this is not a joke. So everything you see during the presentation today is a real product that actually exists. Also, any questions are welcome. Either you take them after the webinar or there's a Q&A field where you can put your questions and either the development team or Jessica will answer them during the presentation, or we'll get back to them after the presentation. And then just a quick note, some people say I'm a fast talker. I'm also native Swede, which means English is not my native language. So if there's anything you need, clarified or want me to get back to, just let me know. And the webinar, as Jessica said, will be recorded and sent to you via link. So I thought just a quick presentation of who I am and our company before we get into the technical stuff. So I work at AEC as a CAD and BIM VDC consultant. I've been in the business for over 30 years now. Started in the early 90s. With 2D CAD going through to 3D CAD, BIM workflows, and then some virtual design and construction. And nowadays it's a lot of talk about agents and AI workflows. I try to be about 60% in live projects, that is real projects with different kinds of assignments. A lot of it has to do with the Autodesk environment or ecosystem from Revit, Forma, Construction Cloud, etc. Due to we are a reseller of Autodesk products, but also some other products. And approximately the rest of the time, 40%, I lecture and I do some education, teaching software or platforms. And I do have a few passions. One of them is I'm a coach since 10 years, a youth soccer coach in Sigtuna, where I live, for the under 12-year-olds. And this takes most of my spare time. And yesterday we went into Stockholm and saw the Swedish game against Poland, who we beat with 3-2, which means we're now in the World Championships this summer. So very happy for that. Also, I'm interested in everything that has to do with digital transformation, especially in the building industry. So anything that's innovative or has to do with standardization and automation or overall process optimization is things I'm interested in. And we are living in what I think are very exciting times. Sometimes you hear that the future is now, and I don't know when that has been more appropriate in actually these days. If you look at the computational design, it's really taking off, especially when you think of the vibe coding, the possibility to use, for instance, Claude Code or other tools to actually create code without really being a software programmer. That's a big new area. We have the generative AI, which is used widely in many different disciplines. We have the assistants, the co-pilots that we can see in almost any software or platform we use today, where you can use your prompt or even talk to it and have it perform tasks for you in the software. We have the agentic AI coming up with the assistants that can actually perform tasks for us as well. And I'm currently teaching a very interesting class called AI for Building Engineers, where we have a look at what can AI do for us and maybe not do in the area of building design for building engineers. But today the topic is automation, and a few words about us as a company. Advanced Engineering Computation is what AEC stands for in our case. We were founded in 1984, based in Gothenburg, Malmö, Stockholm and Växjö, and we're today about 40 staff members. And these are divided into some consultants, developing team, the sales team, support team, and so forth. We're also a subsidiary of the multinational corporate group COVI, and COVI has over today, I think, 7,000 employees spread all over the world. And what do we do? Well, we're a partner to Autodesk, as I mentioned, and we're also Bluebeam reseller. We are reselling other products like formerly known AutoCAD, which is now called Arcans. It's an ecosystem of tools for Revit. And we also develop our own tools. So today we're going to talk about Assistant, which is a part of a collection we call AEC tools. And then we have other products as well that I'm going to mention a bit more later in this webinar. Of course, we have services as well, anything ranging from like packaging, installation packages, implementing strategies, talking about BIM coordination, and we support training, have courses, and similar services, anything that has to do with the software and services we deliver. So before going into Assistant, I just wanted to shortly mention a few of our other own softwares that we develop. So Assistant, that is a product that is used for automated workflows, and it's working both in multiple applications and also on multiple platforms, which we're going to see today. Furthermore, we have something called AEC PLUS, and that's plugins for AutoCAD and Revit, and they actually add features or functionality that's not usually native in this software. So we've been developing them for many years. We have something called Infra. It's a big platform, does many things, but one of the most interesting these days are that it's a validation tool where you can, for instance, validate IFC files using IDS schemas. If you're into the ISO 19650 standards, you probably know in open BIM workflows, you know what this means. So that's something we're working on right now. And we also have a Chatbot or a co-pilot. At the moment, it's a plugin for Revit, but we're looking into other options as well. And it's like an assistant where you can ask it to do stuff in your Revit models to check them or whatever you want to do. And what's really nice about our own Struct.IQ co-pilot is that it's possible to just train it on your own company data sets, which is quite nice if you want to, or you want to keep the data to yourself within the company, but share it with your colleagues. That's perfectly fine with Struct.IQ. And in the end, we have something called Cadium, very popular tool for automation in AutoCAD. So you can run or create Lisp routines or scripts, but it can also do block editing, for instance, title blocks. When you want to update a lot of title blocks in a lot of DWGs without opening them, you get like a spreadsheet interface where you can update and just send the new information into AutoCAD. So that's very popular. Okay, but today is about Assistant, and just a little background why assistant. So we've all been there waiting for stuff. Maybe we're exporting something and we can't use our Revits while waiting. We may want to update parameters or run some kind of clash detection or other simulations, maybe generate some reports. All these tasks, they take time, and sometimes they even stop you to do your work because they take your computer and you can't use it while they're running. So it's important to know that this kind of automation is not just for large complex projects. It's something that you do even if it's a small school project or some residential houses. We all export, import, we open and close files, we save them, or we do stuff in them. That's repetitive. So this is the background, and we use this widely in Covi, our owner, and in AEC, and we also track how much we actually use the software. So I have some recent figures here that only last year, during 2025, there were 3 million tasks executed in Covi only last year. So this also tells you a little bit of how widely spread this is among users and projects of all sizes and complexity. And that was just within Covi, just a reminder. But if you want to use it in large projects, of course you can do that. I have a great example here. This is, well, the product, the assistant, is not new. It has been around since 2013, I think we started developing it. But in 2018, Covi was involved in a big hospital project, Stavanger University Hospital in Norway. And they had this ecosystem of products. There's a database connected to Revit and Tekla, and you have the Stream BIM CDE, the common data environment, where you kept all the project files, and then the common denominator was imports, exports of IFC files, and so forth. So it's a big, and this particular project was created in a modular fashion where you had lots of modules that were updated continuously. The room modules, you might say, for the different kinds of room types that were in this. And they had these nightly exports of plus 40 models, also updated these models across the disciplines. They synced the data with Rufus database. They had to clean the models up because, before sending them, exchanging them with other disciplines. They had nightly upload of files, IFC files that were updated, and so on. So this was really helpful and made a huge difference, not only for the architecture and the structure, but also for the big HVAC and electrical teams that were working and designing this place. So it ended up anyway winning the Excellence Awards in 2018. I'll put a link in here if you want to go and read more about it. But the main issue here is that anyone can use it in any project, and the meaning of using it is, of course, taking these time wasters and turn them into automatic workflows, so that we can free time and do other stuff, or maybe get some better results when we do it. It's also very important to note that when you use assistant workflows that are predicted and set workflows, you go away from each individual user having their own solutions and applying them in a project. For instance, let's say everyone has their own settings for an IFC export, or someone usually exports IFC files and then suddenly someone else takes over, has some different settings, and suddenly you're in problem because these IFC files don't have the same data as the first ones. So there's a really big thing that having standardized company practices, and Assistant makes this really easily by sharing the actions that you actually create. And this means you break down silos within the project between the disciplines, because you can, as a BIM manager or coordinator, you can actually give these actions to the different stakeholders or parts in the project, and therefore enable some effective collaboration workflows. So that's the background. So how does this work? Well, imagine you have a digital assistant that, to begin with, has a task library, all these small things that you have to do. You have a task library for this. In the Assistant, you already have over 100 preset tasks included. I'll tell you later a bit more what these look like, but you can either have use the preset ones or you can define your own ones. And next thing is simplicity. So it needs to be simple if it's going to be used. And Assistant is really really easy to use because you can use drag and drop functionality. So if you have the library, you see some tasks you want to perform, you just drag them into another square where you have the workflows, and you put these tasks in the order that you want to execute them. So that's a no-brainer. Examples could be that you know, in order to do something in the software, you need to start it first, and when you've finished whatever you want to do, you want to stop it. So it could be start, stop, it could be one task. It could be Revit, AutoCAD, Tekla, or any of the others that assistants support today. Of course, we need some files to work with, so you could either download them from, let's say, SharePoint, some project folder, or maybe Forma, as it's called nowadays, Construction Cloud. Maybe you have some files in different places there. You want to download them and then open them and then work with them and then save them somewhere else as updated files. And when you've opened the files, there's stuff you want to do. Maybe you want to clean up the files. If it's Revit files, you want to send them to someone, and you want to hide the goody parts that you have been doing and creating in these files. You can have a cleanup procedure, maybe validate if all the parameters are there according to the demands. You can maybe link some models if necessary. You can sync and publish, or you can just activate a view and then create something in that view. Maybe you want to change something in the view. So these are just simple examples of what it could look like. And after you're done with the models, you will probably want to save them somewhere, maybe export new IFCs, maybe DWGs in 2D or 3D. You want to have some drawings exported, saved as PDFs, maybe a schedule will go into some spreadsheet format. And you can do that just with a single model, or you can do it in batch and do it with many models or files at the same time. So when you do this, I mean, if you for instance, say start Revit, there'll be some questions asked. What version would you like to start? A lot of us have like from 22, 23, all the way up to 26. So there's going to be some decisions to be made. So no problem, you just click on this task and you tell it which version. And if you want to start Dynamo as well, maybe run some Dynamo scripts within Revit, well, you start the latest Dynamo version. And when this is done, you want to upload some files, you drag it across, you want to do these tasks that you've preset, and then when you're finished, you can tell the Assistant to close Revit and Dynamo as well. So of course, you don't want to do this all the time. If you create a nice workflow, you want to save it, and you save it as an action, which means it's actually just a file with the extension action. And this can be saved in any folder on either in a local shared server somewhere or wherever you want to keep this. It's just a file, and this file includes this workflow. So we call these actions, and then you can have many actions and you can run them in a workflow if you want to. So this is a really scalable solution. So if you have now, you've made this and you actually want to do this, you would want to do it in an easy way. So one way is just clicking play, of course, in Assistant, click the play button and it's going to do whatever you set up to do. But what if you have some developing department and maybe it has some scripts that are Dynamo scripts or Python, C# scripts, and you want to be able to use this in the workflow somewhere? Well, that's not a problem. You just create a task from these. Or if you don't have a developing department or you would like to be the developer, you're a smaller company maybe, then you can use the built-in assistant, which is a vibe coding assistant. So you can just put in the prompt what you would like a script for, and it'll generate a script for you, and then you can check it, you can edit it if you like, or you can just run it straight. You don't even need to start Dynamo to run the script. I'll show you a little bit more about this later, but that's called auto generation of Python scripts. So hope I'm doing all right. You can hear me okay. I'm not going too fast, I hope. there's more to this. When you have these actions and you can start them, you can use scripting. So the next thing be, you want to open one model and then you want to open the next model and do the same loop. And then you want to open the next model maybe and do the same. So there's a loop feature where you can just take any of these and put them in a loop so that they repeat themselves. Very nice. And maybe you don't want them to go looping on your computer because your computer, you want to use it for something else. So you could schedule it instead. You could say, run this every night at this hour, every Monday, Tuesday, Friday night. Okay, very good. But then I would need my computer to be open overnight. And if I do it Friday night, I'll be away for the weekend. By security reason, I may not want my computer to be open all night. Well, that's not a problem. You can have a dedicated computer that is just set up to run all your company's different actions that you created. So it can do this on this computer, and then when you come back, as long as it has, is able to reach all the files included in these actions, it's gonna run it for you. Or if you don't want to have like a server in some office, you can also use virtual computer and run it in the cloud as well. Or last case, if you have some secure information that you can't really put up the cloud, you're not even allowed to use internet for it, then you can also use this as an on-premise solution. So you have a single computer not connected to internet and still do everything I'm showing you here. There's a bit more to this. Some people still think dragging and dropping and maybe configuring these, it's a bit hard. Can you just give me a button that does what I want? Of course you can. You just create a button in Revit or Tekla. I'll show you how this looks later as well. And just push the button. And this can be either like for just a project that you have some files that you keep on working with repetitively in the project. Or it can be something that's more general that you can have for each product you work in. And, there's also some automation to this. So if you don't want a button, or you would rather be it a change of file or a folder, you can have things happen like a trigger. So if you get updated files in an IFC folder, you know that the rest of the disciplines have put some new updated IFC files in there. Then things can happen and it can trigger and start these workflows by itself. So the few things to go through before we look at the actual product. A bit of what I told you before. If you have a button, you can either have it like a private button that only works for you, that you can tweak and change if you like, or you can have them like shared with the colleagues within the product, for instance, to get these standardized workflows. And this means it's very scalable within the company. And I mentioned in the beginning, we had these tasks that were already preset. They were kind of adopted to the software, put in there, and they were tested, and there are over 100 today. But then, in some projects, you will need some customized tasks that are specific just for the project you're working on. So no problem, you can do something, we call them extensions. They're like, they could be company or product specific wishes that you want to salute. Or it could be like just a good idea you have that's not already in there and you feel like this is something I want to share. So this can be a private in the beginning and maybe you release it like a shared beta version. And you test this for a while, you track it, what's happening, you validate it, and eventually if you can see, in our case, as I said, we're logging how many users use it, so we can do that, see how many times it's been downloaded, and if you find it's a suitable solution, then we can make this a preset task and put it in the original library. So this is a way for you as companies, either if you need our help or just do it yourselves, you can create these extensions on your own and use them in the same workflow as the rest. So this is just an example here. There are lots of extensions already in there as well. Now, I told you I was working a bit with AI, artificial intelligence, and one thing that's very often mentioned is the use of black boxes. actually is if you put your input somewhere to a large language model and you get some answers, and in between you don't really know what's happened. That's called the black box, where you just get the output, but you can't really validate the output because you don't know where the source was or where did the information come from. So we have the same approach in Assistant. So if you run tasks overnight and you come in the morning, you'd like to know, did they go through? Were there some errors? Do I have to change something? Were there any questions? And this is all logged, and you can check this in the morning or after it's run, you can see. I will show you how that looks as well. So you might think this is enough, but there are more to come, because we also have added some AI components into this. And so we have this like a chatbot or assistant inside AI where you can ask questions. Maybe point it to the Wikipedia where you have a big wiki page. So if you want to ask something about or look up something about Assistant, you can go to the wiki page. There's a huge amount of information there. Or you can ask it questions like this. And also we have this agent-based solution with MCP integration. And if you're not into AI yet, I'll just say that agent-based, this means that you can actually have this assistant performing stuff. And the MCP stands for Model Context Protocol Integration. And this is a protocol that makes it possible for one AI product or assistant in this case to talk to, for instance, a large language model like Claude or anyone else. So you can set up these integrations. If you're in the Autodesk sphere, they are working with lots of MCP servers where you can connect and get information that Autodesk has gathered. So we're into that as well. Okay, I'll just do a quick summary and then I'll show you a bit of the products and some demo reels. So what is this? This is an automation product that works with a lot of different software, and we're keeping adding software to this ecosystem. And not only that, we can up and download files to platforms like SharePoint or Forma, Construction Cloud, or ProjectWise or other places. And then you can create these tasks and workflows, or you can use code, or you can let Assistant create code for you. So it's a really wide usage, depending on how you want to use it. You create these workflows, and you can create buttons from the workflows if you like, and you can use this on single files, single models, or you can just batch run it on multiple while looping. And if you want to do it scheduled, say weekends or evenings or whatever, you can do that. You can use other computers, so you don't need to use your own computer and lock it up with this. Okay, how does this look, you might ask? So the user interface is very simple. Simplicity is one of the best things here. So this is what happens when you open it up. You get some quick start if you want to look into some of them. IFC export for Revit. So this is a workflow or action that's already created. And then you have your own workflows pointing to action files that you have in your folders, wherever you've decided. If you go to the hamburger menu up to the left, you get the classical new, open, and close. So you can save these and open them again, resave them. And then you have a few other menus to choose from here, which I'm going to go through a little later in the presentation. So the workflow is quite easy. You have these three fields or three areas. You have the individual tasks, which is the things you want to do, like start Tekla, or in this case, start Revit. And they have this workflow case where you build the actual workflow, and then you can group this into actions and save them in actions files and name them to whatever you like. So just to make this a very easy example, you may start with doing a new action. Click on new action, name it Revit 2026 IFC export, for instance. And then we have this brilliant search field up here where you can just search the whole Assistant library, both extensions, and it also searches for the preset tasks. So let's say here I want to build a workflow and it's going to involve Revit. So I want it to start Revit. So I click start. I get all the presets that have start in them, and I choose start Revit and just drag and drop it here. This one says start Revit 2026, the version. So if that's what I want to start, fine. If that's not what I want to start with, I want to go with Revit 2024 instead, or some other. Then I just click on this, which will give me a new window here, and everything I can configure here is the version. So it's got a drop-down list from Revit 2026 down to 2020. So I just choose, and that's it. So sometimes I told you about the configuration. If you want to open a file, you got to tell Assistant what file to open and where is it. You got to browse to it maybe. So this is how you do it. You want to do something more, you don't want to start Revit, next would be maybe open a file. You'd go down here to the plus sign, you just click there. So what will happen, maybe we want to open a Revit model now when Revit is open. So we write open here, we get everything we can open. We see open Revit model, we drag it and drop it. So this means that the workflow is running from top down. So you start Revit and then you open a Revit model. Okay, fine. Now we can see a little exclamation mark here. I hope you can see it. If you want to see something more clear, I can show it to you like this. But this a little thing there, which means that you actually need to do some configuration, some settings before you can run this. And in this case, of course, it doesn't know what model to open. So that's what we have to fix. So you would click on this and then you'd browse to the model you want to open. And then you have a workflow. So this is it. So within this action file, it's going to say this workflow, and you have all these tasks to choose from. And what you see here is just different ways of filtering these. So, you know, if you click on AutoCAD, you have everything that you can do with AutoCAD. Can be good just to know what you can do, but you don't need it. If you kind of sort up here, you'll get everything. All right, so I guess I give you a little demo. I'm going to show you a few things. First of all, this is my assistant going on here. It has nothing really doing for it right now. We see up to the left the menus I was talking about. If I go to the house menu, I can see these preset quick setups. And we have these three windows. We have the search window. Up to the right, there's some connection information. Okay. And if I click on these three dots here, you can see new, and the other menus triggers shortcuts and stuff. Okay, fine. So what if I want to build something here? Let's say I'll just show you how the thing we just started about. I write start. So I want to start Revit. I take this and drag it up here. It says Revit 2023. Okay. Maybe I want some other version. I'll just choose version here. So that's fine. And then I want a new task. Next thing would be open some kind of model. So I just write open. It doesn't know that we started Revit, so it just gives you all the options where you can open stuff. So in this case, we want to open a Revit model. Okay, drag and drop it. And then you click on this and tell it where do I want to open it. And maybe we want to do an audit while open it, or detach it if it's a work shared central file, or we want to, you know, discard or not discard work sets. And depending on what kind of action we have here or task, you'll get different opportunities to fill in or configure it. Okay, let's go back and do some more. So we open the model. We may want to go to a specific view. So let's write set here. We want to go to the as an active view. We want to keep the IFC export view, and then maybe we want to do an export from that view. So we could write set for view and then export because we want to export something. We'd like to do an Revit IFC export like that. And we may want to look at the IFC export after just to check that it's okay. So we want to open next software. We want to go in and open Navisworks or Solibri maybe. Start would be a better word than open. We want to start Navisworks, but as you can see, we can start Solibri as well if we prefer. And of course, you would like to open some Navisworks document. So I think you get the idea. And this is all a workflow that's been built up here now. So if I want to run it, I would just check this box and go down here and click the run, or I would schedule it somehow. So this is a bit how this works. Now I've done some other already prepare, as you can see here in my demo. I have like examples of tasks you can do. So for instance, let me show you a bit of a background I've got going on here. I have, usually I work with Revit. So this is a fictive model. It's not a real project. It's something we use for classes and courses and testing stuff. But this is a Revit model. It may be federated with other links into it. It's now in an export mode or export view, but we also have some drawings here, some sheets. In the middle, we have Navisworks, same model open as an IFC. To the right, we have Solibri, same model open as a Solibri. So there's just, I usually tend to do some model coordination in both Navisworks and Solibri because they're good at different things, I think. So just go back to the presentation and then have a look here again. You can see that we could actually export this some views to PDF. We can export some IFC. We can just click all these. Maybe we want to do some clash control in Navis. We have some that we can run as well. So instead of doing this, I thought I'd show you what this could look like. So I'm starting, this is in real time now, so I haven't sped it up or cut anyway. This is how fast it goes. So we follow this one, the Revit model to the left. We can see that it's a 2023 file, so it works with older versions, don't have to be a new one. We have here is Construction Cloud, or as it's called now, Forma, and we have the model up in Construction Cloud. So what I'd like to do is to download from this project, download the files, open them up in or download IFC files as well. They're in different places here. So you have the work in progress folders where you have the architects, the electricians, the HVAC, you have IFCs or VTs. These may be spread out in different places. And because you want to go in, you want to connect the files you want to work with. To the right here, I have a bunch of folders. This is the model folder, and then you have a DWG folder, which is empty now, RVT for the Revit files, IFC. You can see these are all empty because I'm going to let Assistant run some of these tasks for me just by pressing play, and you're going to see how these will populate here. So the first one here is the DWG export. So it's going to be a 3D exported file, and it's going to end up in the DWG folder here. And the configuration I need to do here is actually just tell it where do we want the what view is going to be exported in 3D and where do we want it. And then I've chosen a lot of files from Construction Cloud here to the left, different files, IFCs, RVTs, and told them where are they supposed to go after they're downloaded. So they will go into the RVT for the IVT and the IFC folder here for the IFC files. And then we have some export from the Revit model. So I told the Assistant to open the first Revit model and then export some drawings. Of course, I could do that with more than one model, but in this example, just one. So we're going to see the PDFs drawings down here. Next one is opening Navisworks and just check the latest. It could be open an NWF file. If you work with Navisworks, you know that you open up a federated model and it automatically uploads the latest IFCs. So as long as I've copied the latest IFCs from Construction Cloud down to a folder and open Navis as the last thing, it's going to open with the latest. You can see here, I've now clicked play and it's started to run. So I can see here in real time, 27 seconds. It's opening and starting to download the RVTs. The 3D DWG is already done here. That was quick. And it also put the PCP file with the pen tables inside it. And you can really follow this and you can click the view results if you want to see what's happening. I'm not sure if you can see this text if it's too small, but it says basically it tells you what it's doing right now. So it's now down to exporting the PDFs. You can see the Revit files are turning in there. Should be some IFC files here as well, because that's the next thing. and then it's going to export some PDFs, and it's also going to open Navis. So it starts with some temporary files. You can see the extensions TMP, and then they switch into IFC files. So now we've got the DWG in 3D, we've got the Revit files, we've got the IFC files, and this is just continuing. Now have a look in the PDF area. We see, I think it's about 9 or 10 PDFs, but it's quite quick. So you can see that it's just populating these. And we're now 1.5 minutes into this session, and it's still working. The last thing now, when this is all done, it's going to open Navisworks. It's going to open that IFC file, or like the first one. Or if it may be, I set it to open the NWF file, I'm not sure. So it's going to open that. And here is like it's telling you all the time, and it's logging what's happening now. So if there's some kind of error somewhere, you can view the result. It's going to show you that it's some kind of error. You can go in and check what happened, and then you can go back to your tasks and run them again. So of course, opening Navisworks will take a little time. It's going to open on the left side, and then it's going to open the same model that we've been looking into earlier. But I'm watching this and I'm talking about it, but you know, actually this can be done with multiple models without me doing anything. So if this is a federated model now with all the latest IFCs updated automatically, then the next thing would be, you know, to run a clash detection on all these automatic with the help of Assistant. But before we look at that, I just want to go quickly through the other menus we have here, triggers, shortcuts and stuff. So the triggers is where you just go in and configure that you want to do this, like schedule Wednesdays at this time. We want something to be downloaded or happen. If you look at the shortcuts, that's when you create a button, and it's quite easy. You can create a panel or a tab. So in this case, this is under the tab that's called Assistant or add-ins or something. I'm not sure where it is, but you can see here, this is what the button looks like. So it's quite simple. When you've created these workflows, you can just make a button if you want to. And as I mentioned, it can be public or it can be like shared. So you can share these buttons. Here's another example of a button where you might want to use for publishing models up to Construction Cloud or Forma. So this is a quick one, but yeah, you just go in and tell what models. You say you want to create a button for this in Revit. You do some settings and you click add. You see there it was, publish, and here it was the button publish. So it just turns up like that. Very easy to do. Okay, so what about clash control then? Here's another setup where you have Assistant here. I've set up some clash detection in Navisworks, and you have the Navis model that we know now it's federated with all different models, IFCs, linked into the model. So I'll run this workflow, and the first thing I want to do, I have to create what kind of clash tests I want to run, because there will be a list here, so I can choose from these. But you can see that there's 0 everywhere, so there's nothing checked yet. I'll just set up this for the first time. You can, of course, do this in a template or something when you work with Navisworks. And I'll tell it to be hard clashes, 20 millimeters, and usually I would run it each by one by one. But here I've done some Navis clash control instead. And either I can choose from the list which ones I want to do, or in this case, I'm going to run them all. So just run all the tests. So you can see it automatically finds which tests are available already. This is electrical versus structural, ventilation versus structural, plumbing, piping, and MEP, or everything versus structural. So this is just examples. So what I do, I of course run the action, click the play button. This is in real time, took 2 seconds, and we have all the clashes run. And we can go, this is the map versus structural. So you can see there's 175 clashes there. I'll just go in and mark them all, group them, and then have a little look. What can this be? 175 clashes. And I realized that most of it are very thin pipes that go through floors, which is not a big problem because, you know, I might think that this is something that will be drilled when we get there, or, you know, maybe the holes aren't ready yet. So to check what happened, we can go in here and see the results, and it says it ran all clash tests successfully. Happy. Okay, what more? Well, you might say I work with Solibri, so I'd rather run some rule sets that I've set up in the same way. And you can do that because Solibri has a feature called AutoRun, which makes it possible to do all kinds of tasks within Solibri. But since this is our assistant, we can actually from the outside run these files or these XML files or whatever it is, and let Solibri do the clash detection. In this case, we can see this is something you can just get from Solibri web page, or you can have it created. This one updates clashes and updates the presentations where you can see all the clashes. So it opens the file. In this case, it's the same file, only with just a structural part. And then you can update all the IFC files necessary. You save it as something, SMC, and then you zoom out and then you do some tests. You run the rule sets. After that, you create a presentation in form of a BCF file or zip file. And then maybe you want to resave the model so that it's new. So all this can be done. And you can actually, if you don't want to run or create one of these Excel files, XML files, you can also just turn this off and set your own workflow up like in a manual fashion instead. So I have one set up for you here. If I turn this XML file, I choose that I want to do a Solibri AutoRun. I run it from Assistant, and then I can just go here and say, what would I like to do? I would like to open some models. I'd like to update the IFC files in these models, maybe update the presentations and write some report. And I just choose and say, where are they going to end up? And then I let Assistant do the work for me. Okay, I'll try to go a bit fast in the end because it's not. We've got to have some minutes for questions. So, what about bat files and stuff? Can you do your own scripts and run them outside Assistant? Yes, you can create scripts as well. There are actions where you can reach within. For instance, here is what I mentioned, that you can let Assistant create a Python script for you and then run it here. So in this, I go here and I can see that this is the IFC export view, and I'd like to, do something else in the model. So I want Assistant to change view, set another view as active. So I create a new action. It's called action, so I rename it to something. I'll go down and rename, and this action will actually pick a view that I decide and make it the current view in Revit. So I call it set active view with help of Python, so with a Python script. Now this Python script could do anything. It's just a very simple example of how it might look. So I save this as an action. And then to find the stuff I can do with Python, I go up here and I type in Python, or PY is good enough. And then there's a Python script for Revit, which is the one I'd like to use here. I click on it to configure it. And there's only one button here, which is generate a Python script. Perfect. I'll use that. It asks me, what do you want to do in the Revit model? And as I told you, I'll just take a prompt I had and paste it. I can write it if I like to. Create a Python script that sets the view exterior to the active view. And then I just let it create this. And the view exterior is a render view of this model. So you can see it just below the other view we're in. It's down there. So when this Python script is finished in here, you can save it, you can edit it, and you can just press play and it's going to run it in here and do it for you. So this is what we're going to see. What takes a little time. This is also real time, by the way. I haven't sped it up or anything. I haven't cut it out, or this is how long it takes. It created this for me. maybe I want to do some changes. It can explain the code for me, or I can edit it in a Python editor down here with a button. So this is what a Python editor might look like. And here I can go in and change stuff and save it as a new run. But if I want to try it out, which I do, of course, I'll just go and click there. I want to run this and run action and have a look over here, and it ran the script in 2 seconds. And as always, I can track what did it actually do. Okay, let me go through the last pages. We have some logins because, you know, often I get the question, how can you go in Autodesk Cloud? I mean, you must have the permit to go in there. You must have the rights. Yeah, that's right. You need to connect first. So if you're going in a project in SharePoint, you need to connect to SharePoint first. So there's a few places you can go in and connect to before you do this. The chatbot I told you about, ask questions. In this case, hello, what can I help you with? If I click here in the AEC assistant, in this, how can I connect a project folder in SharePoint to download files regularly? So that's my question, and it answers, yeah, use the built-in SharePoint download task. So there's a task called this. Okay, good to know. You create an action, and you can also use the triggers or schedule so that this is regular like here. So no problem. And there's a lot of tools you can use already in there preset. You have this configuration for MCP service I mentioned. Not going to show you that, but yeah, it's in there. And there's also some other AI tools like this one where you can compare, for instance, the naming conventions and make it switch naming on files according to rules you set up. So before I leave you with questions, just a quick recap of everything. So you have the automation, you can loop tasks if you want to, just drag and drop. You can create buttons or use triggers to like set off any of these workflows you create. You can work in multiple platforms. Today you have these Assistant Cloud, Autodesk, SharePoint, but we're working with several more platforms, looking into project platforms to work together with. So that's on the way. This is always expanding. So this, we reckon this one, we will add some more icons to this list and also to this list down here where you have the platforms. So it's the center of the ecosystem. I've already shown you this, I think, like the workflow, how you set stuff up, and also that you can create buttons and stuff. You can name them like a cleanup button and an export button and whatever you want to name it, you name it. You have the wiki if you're stuck. So who's going to use this, my last slides in this presentation? Well, it's basically for anyone using any of these software or platforms. So if you're a designer, of course, if you work with electrical construction, DWG or Revit, yeah, heaps to be done there. But also if you're like a product manager or a BIM or coordination manager, and you want to streamline the work and you want to make it flow better, less errors, easier onboarding for new participants in the project, everything that excellent for assistant. And of course, if you're into scripting, developing, you want to do new integrations, either if you do it or you take help by our development team, you can do grand things together to develop this further. And what's the payoff? Why do this? Well, the first thing, of course, is the easy way of saving time, but also you can, your deliveries will be more secured, more consistent, which gives better quality. If you're into vibe coding, for instance, your team might find new uses and new ways of working that they didn't know how to do before. There's no coding. You can run AutoRun in Solibri without even knowing how it works. And altogether, we hope that it's going to accelerate your projects and create better deliveries. So it's not only to help to automate tasks. It's like a standardization tool, streamlining tool, and it's making it easy to share, implement, and scale up. You can use it for a small company or a big company. And that was me. As unfortunately only 5 minutes left for questions, but let's see if you have anything. Is there anything in the Q&A that we can have a look at?
There is one question. Hi, it sounds very nice. Thank you, Patrik. Does it work with plugins in Revit from other vendors like Dalux or D-Roots, for example?
Yeah, this is not only for Revit, so it's intended for a much wider use, but we are having discussions with Dalux, for instance. That's one of the connections that we're looking into. iBinder is another one, very oftenly used platform that you can imagine. D-Roots is a plugin where it actually it's more like AEC PLUS for us. We already have a plugin for Revit with lots of different features. So D-Roots is more like that. But I hope that answered the question. It kind of becomes a plugin when you create a button in Revit also, where you can run all these tasks. Oh, thank you. So it looks like any other questions, just feel free. Don't be shy.
And everybody could use their microphone now if you prefer to speak directly.
Hi, my name is Stanislaw. Can you hear
Hello?
me?
Yeah,
Okay.
fine.
So yes, I have a question. So inside Covey, we have Covey Assistant actually, and I don't know if you mentioned that in the first case, or what is the difference between AEC Assistant and Covey Assistant?
Oh, that's a great question. If you've been using Covey Assistant, it's actually the same product. So when I said it's been developed in Norway since 2013, it was Covey Assistant at that time. And then we inherited and took over the Covey Assistant, which then was just for Covey employees. And now we're selling it and giving our clients the opportunity to use it. So that's why we rebranded it as AEC Assistant for AEC.
So
it's the same
so
product.
In principle, it's the same product, right? So if there will be something new in AEC Assistant, it will be in our Covey Assistant, because it's like we have this unified installation service, which we can just order, for example, Covey Assistant, but I can find their AEC Assistant. So, but if it's similar product, then okay.
Yeah, maybe one of the developers can say if Covey will coexist with the AEC Assistant or if it's gonna swap. See if someone knows.
It's going to be like a replacement. So this is an internal tool moving to be a public tool available to everyone. The fact that Covey is having a slow rollout is internal Covey business, really. To everyone else here, it's
and will be replaced. And will be replaced when, for example, because we have some scripts already going on some.
Covey has its own internal processes that will communicate this. So I think that's an internal business for Covey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Great.
Maybe just add one answer to the first question about the plugins in Revit. There is actually one possibility to click buttons. So no matter which third-party app it is, you can still click any button. Then it may be hard to do something in the dialogue that pops up, but still you can click buttons. So that's an easy way workaround.
Yeah, good input.
We also have some questions about the pricing structure. So there is basically two different licenses, network and user-based. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the license types we work with now.
I'll just come off mute just to expand on that. So it's not tokenized, it's a subscription-based price structure, whether that's users or on an enterprise license, yeah?
Correct.
Thank you.
Right, I guess I have this info at aec.se here. We have the phone number. I previously showed you my email address in case you want to ask me something from the presentation or clarify something. So it's 2 o'clock now, and you're very welcome to get in touch with any one of us for more information, or if you need another demo with some people in your company. We're happy to perform and provide that. Have you got any last words, Jessica? You muted.
You're mute, Jessica.
Sorry, I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who joined us today. And as we said from the beginning, we have recorded this session, and I will send you the link afterwards, so you will have it later on in this afternoon. And if there is any other questions, then I think we will call the session for now. And as Patrik said, you can always reach us at aec.se, where you have all our contact information. So just reach out if you get any questions along the way. So thank you, everybody, and have a nice afternoon, and happy Easter when it's time for that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for listening,
Thank you
and
very
have a
much.
great week. Bye.